Hi there, this is Ranjit from tech2buzz.com, and today we'll be doing the fourth Q&A session. I'm sorry that I couldn't do this Q&A session yesterday. I was extremely busy, and we have got a bunch of questions. And again, we have questions on graphic cards, Mac suggestions, then some suggestions for Android phones. So let's get on with this Q&A session. And the first question is from John Smith, and he asks us, please can you tell me that should I go with Radeon 6870 or GTX 560, or should I go with Radeon 6950 or GTX 560 for playing all graphic intensive games at 1080p on a 22-inch monitor? Also, should I go with 1GB or 2GB version, and suggest me good brands? Thanks in advance. John Smith wants to know graphic cards for his PC computer for playing high-end games. I would say that the NVIDIA 560 or the Radeon 6870 are very similar. In certain games, the Radeon 6870 marches ahead. So you can choose between both of them, but if the choice is between the 6950 or the 560, I would suggest go for the 6950. Regarding the graphic memory, 1GB is more than enough if you're using a single monitor, and also if you do not plan to install multiple GPU cards. If you plan to install multiple cards, for example in Crossfire, then I would suggest go for 2GB. Otherwise, 1GB with a single monitor is more than enough. The next question is from Football Maestro, and he asks us, I'm thinking of buying an AMD 7950 for gaming along with the new Ivybridge i5 CPU when it's released. Do you think 7950 card is good enough? Yes, the Radeon 7950 series is an extremely powerful graphic card, and you should be able to play all the games without any issues with the Ivybridge processor. The next question is from Raghav Goel, and he asks, does one need a static IP to access NAS remotely, or a normal broadband connection will also work? To access your NAS remotely, what you need is ideally a static IP is required, but you can use it with a normal broadband connection. There is a service known as DDNS, and using that you can actually remotely access your NAS. What this DDNS does is it gives you a unique domain name, for example yourname.noip.com, and when you go to that address, it will automatically reroute you to your NAS. So check out Dynamic DNS for more info, and check out noip.com for getting a free DDNS ID. Next question is from Zed Kosh, and he asks us, I am planning to buy a Wi-Fi router to use with my Reliance Net Connect Plus so that I can get good speed while surfing on my iPhone and iPad. For this you need a 3G enabled router, and I suggest that you check this Asus RTN13. You have done a detailed review regarding the same, so check that out, but just make sure the model of your data card is compatible with that router, because most of the routers can work with almost any ISP, but the limitation comes due to the make of the data card. So just check if your data card is compatible with the router. Next question is from Devinder, and he asks us, hi, I am building a PC with a Core i7 2700K ATI Radeon 6950 in Crossfire, 1000 watt power supply, 2TB hard drive, and want to buy a motherboard that can support 32GB DDR, 1600 RAM, and I also want to make a Hackintosh out of it. Please don't tell me Gigabyte. I've got very bad experience with them. The thing is that I follow this site called TonyMacX86.com for Hackintosh, and they highly suggest a Gigabyte board because it's most compatible. But as you said, you don't want to go with a Gigabyte board. You can also go with Asus board, but I strongly suggest that you go to this TonyMac website and check out which motherboards are compatible. Otherwise, you'll fall into problems while making an Hackintosh. The next question is from Spursh10, and he asks us, hey Ranjit, I'm planning to buy a Mac Mini. Is it worth to buy? Yes, a Mac Mini is a great entry-level Mac computer. But if you're planning to buy it right now, I would say just wait for some time, because most of the Macs are going to get updated to the new Ivybridge. That should happen pretty soon. So if it's not very urgent, I would suggest that you wait a while. The next question is from Cyber Paradise, and he asks, hey Ranjit, I'm planning to buy a Windows OS smartphone. I don't have any selective budget, but yes, I'll buy the best. Which one do you recommend? I would say that look at Nokia Lumia the 900 series. I had done an overview about the Nokia Lumia 800, but the big con with that phone is it doesn't have a front facing camera, but that's fixed with Nokia Lumia 900, so check that out. The next question is from Priyankan. Suggestions on buying Micromax A85. This Micromax A85 is an Android phone, but sadly I haven't tested it, so I cannot comment on the same. But if any one of you guys are already using this phone, please share your experience in the comments below. It will be highly appreciated. The next question is from Krishna, and he asks, hey Ranjit, I am soon going to buy a desktop, and can you tell me whether I should wait for the Ivybridge or should I go with the Ivybridge? My budget is about 12,000. Will the Ivybridge come under this bracket, or should I go with the i5 itself? If yes, please suggest some good i5 processor. The thing is that Ivybridge hasn't been launched yet, and I personally don't know the pricing, but I expect the pricing to be very similar to the current Ivybridge parts. I would say initially it will be priced at approximately about maximum at a premium of about 10%. If basically for a desktop, the Ivybridge is not very important because it hardly gives the raw CPU power is just about 5 to 7% more than Ivybridge parts. Ivybridge is great for laptops, because if you're using an integrated GPU, the GPU is vastly improved over Ivybridge. So if you plan to use the internal GPU, then I would say wait for the Ivybridge. Else you can go with the current Ivybridge processors. Next question is from Yashwant Karma, and he says, I have watched many of your videos and liked them. Thank you. But today, please suggest me rupees 35 Ivybridge gaming build with HD monitor included. The thing is that, as I mentioned earlier, the Ivybridge hasn't been launched yet. I think so it will be around May time frame, and when that does, I'm surely going to suggest a gaming build for around that budget. So stay tuned for that. The next question is from Sparky, and he asks, hi Ranjit, can you suggest me the best Android phone for rupees 22,000 to 25,000? Browsing is my main criteria, not games. The thing is that in this price segment, it's been a while that I have reviewed some phones. We have HTC Incredible S, that's a nice phone, but I don't want to recommend it right now because it's an old model. And personally, I feel if you're going to buy an Android phone now, above 21 or 22k, you should go for a dual core phone. I'm going to review soon the Motorola Atrix 2 next week. That's a very good phone from Motorola, and it's a dual core phone, and it's priced around 21 or 22,000. So stay tuned for that review. The next question is from S. Chaitanya, and he asks us, I have a very simple yet mind-troubling question. Do you have any idea how to take screenshots in Nokia Lumia 800? Please help, would be highly appreciated. The thing is that I did not play a lot with this Nokia Lumia 800, so frankly I have no idea how to take screenshot. But if any of you guys are already using a Lumia 800 phone and you know how to take screenshots, please share how to do the same in the comments below. We'll highly appreciate the same. The next question is from Kaushik, and he asks, what is Airplay technology? I know it's Apple thing, but how exactly does it work? Also, any suggestions for making my existing LCD Airplay enabled? It just has a component input. Think of Airplay technology as a proprietary, Apple technology, and think of it as very similar to DLNA technology that most of the PCs and other devices use. Sadly, the Airplay technology is currently limited to mostly Apple products. And the thing is that, let's say you have an iPad, and let's say you have an Apple TV. So let's say you're watching something on your iPad, and now you want to beam it to your Apple TV that might be connected to television. Using Airplay, you can do that. Similarly, you can do it for music also. So that's Airplay in a nutshell. And the thing is that you need to have an Airplay device for it to work. The most popular Airplay device is the Apple TV. You can also share between, let's say if you have an iPhone or an iPad, you can also use Airplay for that. But as you said, you are having an LCD and it has just component inputs. I don't think so. The new Apple TVs support the component inputs. They just have HDMI. This is the last question, and it's from Techno Dictionary, and he asks us, which is the best tablet right now in India, iPad 2 or Galaxy Tab? And I was thinking that as the Playbook cannot support all the Android apps, but it's running the Android OS, is it the same with Galaxy Tab, or it supports all the Android apps? First, let me talk about the confusion you have about Playbook. Playbook does not run the Android OS. It runs the BlackBerry QNX OS. It's completely different. What it does is, currently with the OS2 update on the Playbook, it can support Android apps. Actually, you can't just take an Android app and run it on the Playbook. Those apps need to be converted to the bar format, that's the Playbook format, and the developers need to do that. Hence, not many of the Android apps still work with the Playbook because many of the developers chose not to port their apps to the Playbook. So, Playbook is not Android. Many people are confusing that. Playbook runs on the QNX operating system. But on the other hand, the Galaxy Tab tablet runs the Android OS. And yes, as it runs the Android OS, it can run all the Android apps, and it has the Android market. Now the Android market is known as the Google Play. Regarding which is the best tablet in the market, and that is very difficult to ask. It's like a question, are Macs better or PCs better? You will get a different answer from each user, because it is very different for one user to another user. If you are liking the Android OS, go with the Galaxy Tab, but if you like the iOS, go with the iPad. The advantage of iPad is that there are a lot of apps on the iOS market, and that's the App Store. But on the other hand, if you like flexibility and you don't want to stick to one size tablet, then go with the Galaxy Tab. I hope that answers your question. So these were the questions for the fourth Q&A session. I'll be doing the next Q&A session on next Friday, that's 23rd of March. If you want your questions to be posted in the Q&A, start it with the Q&A tag, and then I'll include that question in the next Q&A session. I hope you found this Q&A session useful. If you found it useful, please click on the like button. I'll highly appreciate the same. That's it for now. This is Ranjit from tech2buzz.com, and hopefully I'm going to see you in my next video.